Sir, step back from the cart. Keep your hands where I can see them. Now.
Officer, I didn't touch her. She grabbed the urn. Everyone here saw it.
He attacked me! He threw boiling coffee on me!
That's a lie. I'm a Navy veteran. I asked her to wait her turn, nothing
Everyone
more.
stop talking!
The steam rose violently from the pavement, curling into the cold morning mist of Seattle, carrying with it the scent of dark roast Colombian beans and the bitter tang of a career ending in real time. It takes years to build a reputation, decades to build a life, and exactly 45 seconds to burn it all to the ground if you decide to let your prejudice take the wheel on a busy Tuesday morning. What happened on the corner of 4th and Pike wasn't just a tantrum. It was a collision between old-world entitlement and the new world of high-definition accountability. And the woman at the center of it was about to learn that in the digital age, the delete button does not exist. Before we unpack this chaotic sequence of events, I want to hear from you. What city are you watching from today? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe that respect is a two-way street, hit that subscribe button right now. You are going to want to see how justice is served in this one. The man behind the counter was Elijah Barnes. He was 52 years old, a retired Navy logistics specialist who had spent 20 years serving his country before returning home to Seattle to serve the perfect pour-over. Elijah didn't just sell coffee. He curated mornings. His cart, a gleaming stainless steel setup he had customized himself, was parked legally and meticulously on the corner near the business district. He had been there for 5 years, rain or shine, and in Seattle, it was mostly rain. Elijah was a fixture of the neighborhood. He knew that the paralegal from the firm across the street took her latte with oat milk and 2 pumps of vanilla because she was trying to cut dairy. He knew that the construction foreman working on the high-rise down the block needed a red-eye black coffee with a shot of espresso to get through the early shift. He asked about their families. He remembered their birthdays. He was a 52-year-old black man with graying temples and hands calloused from hard work building a legacy 1 cup at a time for his daughter, who was currently a sophomore at the University of Washington. On this specific Tuesday in November, the Pacific Northwest gloom was heavy. A biting drizzle was falling, the kind that soaks through your coat in minutes. Despite the weather, the line for Barnes Brews was 8 people deep. They huddled under umbrellas, checking emails, making small talk, waiting for the warmth that Elijah dispensed with a smile. Then the calm was shattered by the roar of an engine. A pearlescent white luxury SUV, the kind that costs more than a starter home in the Midwest, swerved toward the curb. It didn't parallel park. The driver simply mounted the curb, parking diagonally across a clearly marked no parking fire hydrant zone, with the hazard lights flashing as if that legally absolved the driver of all traffic laws. The driver door opened and out stepped Victoria St. James. Victoria was 36 years old, a high-powered corporate consultant who marketed herself as a brand crisis manager. The irony of her job title would soon become the punchline of the internet. She was dressed in an immaculately tailored beige trench coat, designer rain boots, and held a clutch purse that likely cost more than Elijah's entire inventory for the week. Victoria did not walk to the back of the line. She didn't even glance at the 8 people standing in the rain. She marched straight to the front, bypassing a mother holding a toddler and a young man in a wheelchair. She walked right up to the service window where Elijah was putting a lid on a cappuccino. "Large Americano, extra hot, no water, 3 shots. Now," Victoria barked, not even looking up from her phone as she tapped out a text message. Elijah paused. He finished securing the lid on the cappuccino and handed it to the customer he was currently serving, a young graphic designer named Sarah. He smiled at Sarah, wished her a good day, and then turned his attention to the woman who had just cut the line. "Good morning, ma'am." Elijah said, his voice deep and calm, the voice of a man who had shouted over jet engines on aircraft carriers and wasn't easily rattled. "I'd be happy to get that started for you, but there is a line of folks waiting in the rain. If you'd mind stepping to the back, I'll get to you as soon as your turn comes up." It was a reasonable request. It was the only fair request. But to Victoria St. James, it was an insult. She finally looked up from her phone. Her eyes narrowed behind her oversized sunglasses, which she slid down her nose to glare at him. "Excuse me, I am in a rush.
I have a meeting in 10 minutes that is worth more than this entire cart makes in a year. I don't have time to stand in the rain with these people."
She gestured vaguely at the line behind her with a dismissive wave of her manicured hand. The gesture encompassed the mother, the construction worker, the paralegal, everyone. "I understand you're in a hurry," Elijah said, wiping down the counter. "But everyone here has somewhere to be. I operate on a first-come, first-served basis. It's the only way to be fair."
"Fair," Victoria scoffed, a sharp, ugly sound. "I am offering to pay you double. Take the order. Do your job.
Pour the liquid in the cup. It's not rocket science, although I suppose for you it might feel like it." The insult hung in the wet air. The microaggression was sharp enough to cut. "For you." The implication was clear. She wasn't just insulting his intelligence. She was attacking his station in life and implicitly his race. A young man standing third in line, a 22-year-old tech intern named Leo, had already pulled out his phone. Leo was Gen Z. He understood the digital ecosystem better than he understood his own 401k. He saw the G-Wagon on the curb. He saw the attitude. He knew exactly where this was going. He hit record. "Ma'am," Elijah said, his voice dropping an octave, becoming sterner. "I'm going to ask you to step to the back of the line, or I'm going to have to refuse service. Please do not insult me."
"Refuse service?" Victoria laughed, looking around as if seeking an audience for the absurdity of the situation. "You can't refuse me service. I am the customer. The customer is king, or queen in this case. You are a service provider. You exist to serve me. That is why you are in that little box, and I am out here."
"I am a business owner," Elijah corrected her, his posture straightening. "And you are disrupting my business. Please leave." Victoria's face flushed a deep, blotchy red. She wasn't used to being told no. She was used to waiters cowing to her demands for fear of a bad Yelp review. She was used to assistants scrambling to fix her mistakes. She wasn't used to a 52-year-old Navy veteran standing his ground with quiet dignity.
"You listen to me,"
she hissed, leaning over the counter, invading his personal space.
"You people are all the same. You get a little bit of authority, a little permit from the city, and you think you own the sidewalk. You don't belong in this neighborhood. This is a business district, not a flea market."
"You people," the crowd gasped. It was audible. The construction foreman, a burly man named Mike, stepped forward. "Hey, lady, that's enough. Get in line or get lost." Victoria spun around, her eyes wild. "Shut up. You mind your own business. This is between me and this competent fraud who stole a parking spot to sell mud water." She turned back to Elijah. "I am going to call the police. I am going to tell them you threatened me. I am going to tell them you are selling drugs out of this cart. I will have your license pulled. I will have you arrested. Do you understand me? I will ruin you." Elijah placed both hands on the counter. He looked her dead in the eye. "Ma'am, you are trespassing on my peace. Leave, now."
"Don't you tell me what to do,"
Victoria shrieked. Her voice cracked. She was losing control, the adrenaline of her own rage taking over. "I want my coffee. Give me the coffee." And then the moment that would change her life forever happened. Victoria reached across the stainless steel counter. Her hands, adorned with diamond rings, grabbed the handle of the large 3-gallon commercial urn that sat secured near the front. It was filled with Pike Place roast, freshly brewed and kept at a scorching 195 degrees Fahrenheit. Elijah saw it coming. His reflexes, honed decades ago, kicked in. He stepped back instantly, shouting, "Watch out!" to the people standing nearby. Victoria yanked the urn. It wasn't secured to withstand a violent pull. The heavy metal container tipped. The lid flew off. 3 gallons of scalding dark liquid cascaded out in a violent wave. It didn't hit Elijah thanks to his quick step back, but it poured all over the counter, splashing onto the sidewalk, creating a massive steaming river of brown sludge. It splashed onto Victoria's beige trench coat. It splashed onto her expensive boots. "Ah!" she screamed, jumping back, slipping on the wet pavement. She didn't fall, but she stumbled, catching herself on the side of the cart. The sound of the urn hitting the metal counter was like a gong. Then silence. Just the sound of the rain and the coffee dripping onto the concrete. Elijah looked at his equipment. His point-of-sale tablet was soaked. His pastries were ruined. His day's inventory was gone. Leo, the intern, kept the camera steady. He zoomed in on Victoria's face. For a split second, Victoria looked terrified. She looked at the steam rising from the pavement. She looked at the ruin she had caused. But then, realizing she was wet and her coat was stained, the victimhood complex kicked in. "Look what you did!" she screamed at Elijah, pointing a shaking finger at him. "You threw that at me! You assaulted me! I'm burning help! He attacked me!" The audacity was breathtaking. She had pulled the urn. Everyone saw it, but she was already trying to rewrite history. "Nobody moved." Mike, the construction foreman, boomed. He stepped between Victoria and her car. "Nobody's going anywhere. I saw what you did. We all saw it." "He attacked me," Victoria sobbed, pulling out her phone. 911, I need police. I'm at 4th and Pike. A man. A vendor. He threw hot coffee on me. I'm injured. Send help." "Down." She was performing. It was an Oscar-worthy performance of distress fueled by the realization that she had just committed a crime. Elijah didn't say a word. He reached under the counter, pulled out a towel, and began to dry off his machine, assessing the damage. He knew the truth. He knew the camera in the corner of his cart, his own security system, was rolling. He knew the kid in the line was filming. He didn't need to scream. He just needed to wait. The police response time in downtown Seattle can vary, but for a report of an assault with a weapon, which is how the dispatcher interpreted "threw hot coffee," they arrived in 4 minutes. 2 patrol cars, lights flashing, pulled up behind Victoria's illegally parked SUV. Officer Davis and Officer Chen stepped out. Davis was a veteran. Chen looked newer. They saw the scene: a coffee cart, a massive spill, a crowd of angry bystanders, and a woman in a stained trench coat crying hysterically near a G-Wagon. Victoria rushed the officers before they could even close their car doors. "Officer, thank God he's crazy. He's unhinged. I asked for a coffee and he threw the urn at me. Look at my coat. It's a Burberry. He needs to be arrested right now." Officer Davis held up a hand. "Ma'am, calm down. Step back. Are you injured? Do you need a medic?" I don't know," she stammered. "I'm in shock. He assaulted me." Officer Chen moved toward the cart. "Sir, step away from the counter. Keep your hands visible." Elijah placed his towel down and put his hands on the clean part of the counter. "Good morning, officers. I am complying. I am unarmed. I am the owner of this stand." "He's lying?" Victoria shrieked from the background. "Officer." Leo, the intern, stepped forward. "You need to see this." Leo held up his phone. "I recorded the whole thing from the moment she walked up." Officer Davis looked at Leo. "You have video of the incident?" "In 4K, sir." She cut the line. She shouted racial slurs at him, and then she grabbed the urn and pulled it over herself. He didn't touch her. He didn't touch the urn. She did it. Victoria stopped crying. The color drained from her face. She looked at Leo's phone like it was a loaded weapon pointed at her head. That's edited," she claimed, desperate. "He's friends with him. They're conspiring." Officer Davis took the phone. He watched the video. He watched it again. He watched the part where she said, "You people." He watched the part where she threatened to ruin him. He watched frame by frame as her hand grabbed the handle and yanked it. Officer Davis looked up. His expression had shifted from concern to cold professionalism. He handed the phone back to Leo. "Email that to the department evidence locker. I'll give you the address." He walked over to Victoria. "Ma'am, turn around and place your hands behind your back." "What?" Victoria gasped. "No, you're arresting the wrong person. He's the aggressor." "Ma'am, I just watched you commit criminal mischief in the 2nd-degree disorderly conduct and potentially malicious harassment. You are under arrest." "No," she screamed, pulling away as Officer Chen moved in to assist. "Do you know who I am? My husband is a partner at Sterling & Cooper. You cannot arrest me. This is a mistake. I will have your badges." "Stop resisting," Davis said calmly, clicking the handcuffs onto her wrists. "You are currently parked in a fire lane. You have destroyed private property, and you have filed a false police report claiming assault.
You have the right to remain silent. I strongly suggest you use it." They walked her to the patrol car. She was kicking, screaming, and threatening to sue the entire city of Seattle. The contrast between her pristine, expensive clothing and her chaotic criminal behavior was stark. Elijah watched her get put into the back of the cruiser. He felt no joy, only exhaustion. He looked at his ruined inventory. He looked at the mess on the sidewalk. "I'm sorry about your stand, man," Mike the foreman said. He pulled out a $20 bill and put it in the tip jar, which had miraculously survived. "I didn't get my coffee, but here." "Me neither," the paralegal said, dropping a 10. One by one, the people in line dropped cash in the jar. They didn't get coffee. They got a show they didn't want, and they saw a good man treated badly. They wanted to make it right. Leo uploaded the video to TikTok and Twitter X before the police car even rounded the corner. He titled it, "Seattle Karen Destroys Veteran's Coffee Stand Because She Couldn't Wait 2 minutes." The internet did what the internet does best. It mobilized. By 10:00 a.m., the video had 500,000 views. By 2:00 p.m., it had 3 million. By the evening news, it was the lead story in the Pacific Northwest. The internet sleuths identified Victoria St. James within 45 minutes. They found her LinkedIn. They found her brand crisis management website. They found her husband's law firm. The reviews started pouring in. Her business page went from 5 stars to 1 star in an hour. Thousands of comments flooded her Instagram. People weren't just mad about the coffee. They were mad about the entitlement, the slurs, the attempt to weaponize the police against a black man. But the support for Elijah was even stronger. Someone found the name of his business, Barnes's Brews, and set up a GoFundMe. The goal was $5,000 to replace his equipment and cover lost wages. When Elijah woke up the next morning, the fund was at $85,000. But the story doesn't end with a viral video. It ends in a courtroom. Victoria St. James spent the night in jail. Her husband bailed her out the next morning, but the ride home was silent. He had seen the video. His partners had seen the video. He informed her that he was taking a leave of absence because her actions were affecting the firm's reputation. Victoria was charged with malicious mischief in the 2nd degree, a felony in Washington due to the value of the damage and lost business exceeding $750, false reporting for lying to the 911 operator, disorderly conduct, malicious harassment. Washington state's hate crime statute due to the racial language used during the commission of the crime. Her lawyer, a high-priced defense attorney, tried to get a plea deal. He argued that Victoria was under extreme hormonal stress and workplace burnout. He tried to paint her as a victim of mental health struggles. The prosecutor, an ambitious district attorney who knew the entire city was watching, wasn't having it. "Stress does not make you a bigot," she argued in the pretrial hearing. "Stress does not make you destroy property. Entitlement does that." The case went to trial 6 months later. Elijah testified. He wore his best suit. He spoke calmly about the fear he felt when the hot liquid splashed not for himself, but for his customers. He spoke about the humiliation of being spoken to like a dog in the street. The video was played for the jury. Victoria sat at the defense table, refusing to look at the screen. The jury deliberated for 3 hours, guilty on all counts. The sentencing hearing was where the reality finally hit Victoria St. James. She stood before Judge Patterson, a stern woman who had no patience for theatrics. "Mrs. St. James." The judge began looking over her glasses. "You live a life of privilege. You drive a car that costs more than most people earn in 5 years. You have every advantage. And yet, when asked to wait your turn like every other citizen, you chose violence. You chose bigotry. You attempted to destroy a man's livelihood because his dignity inconvenienced you." The judge continued. "You tried to use the police as a weapon. You lied to the 911 operator claiming you were attacked, knowing full well that such an accusation against a black man could have deadly consequences. That is not a mistake. That is a calculation." Victoria was sentenced to 90 days in county jail, rare for a first-time offender, but the hate crime enhancement carried weight. 2 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, restitution to Elijah Barnes in the amount of $1,500 covering the equipment, the lost revenue, and legal fees, mandatory anger management and bias training. She lost her business. Her reputation was incinerated.
She was now a convicted felon, which meant she could no longer hold certain professional licenses. Elijah Barnes used the GoFundMe money to upgrade his cart to a brick-and-mortar shop. He opened Barnes Brews and Books in the Central District a year later. It became a community hub. He hired Leo, the intern who filmed the video, to run his social media. He set up a scholarship fund for veterans wanting to start small businesses. He never saw Victoria St. James again, and he didn't want to. He had moved on. He had turned a moment of hatred into a foundation for growth. But for the rest of the world, the video remained. It floated in the digital ether, a permanent warning. It served as a reminder that character is not defined by what you drive or what you wear, but by how you treat the person standing behind the counter when you think no one is watching. So what is the lesson we take from the rainy streets of Seattle? It is simple, yet often forgotten. Dignity is not a transaction. You cannot buy the right to treat others as beneath you. In a world where cameras are everywhere, your true character will be broadcast. Victoria St. James thought her status protected her. She thought her wealth made her immune to the basic social contract of wait your turn. She learned the hard way that in the court of public opinion and in the court of law, entitlement is not a defense. The way you treat the waiter, the janitor, the driver, or the coffee vendor is the truest reflection of who you are. And if you choose to be cruel, be prepared for the world to show you the door. Elijah Barnes is still pouring coffee today. The lines are longer now, but nobody cuts. Everyone waits, and the coffee tastes like justice.